Hi friends, today we are going to see the past year NEET questions for the chapter Biological Classification, and in this video we will cover part 4. So let's begin with the first question here, which was asked in the year 1993. Escherichia coli is used extensively in biological research as it is dash. So before we go into the solution, let's discuss what is this Escherichia coli, which is commonly called as E. coli. This is also known as E. coli, and it is a gram-negative bacteria which obtains a pink stain from the gram staining process, and it is a facultative anaerobe which is rod-shaped, and this is a coliform bacterium which belongs to the genus Escherichia that is commonly found in the lower intestine of the warm-blooded animals. The main reason why we use it, what is the common purpose of we using it is, it lives in symbiotic relationship with the human intestine, so it is easy for us to be cultured. Okay, Escherichia coli is used extensively in biological research because it is easily cultured, and the main important thing, as I already said, it is a coliform bacterium which is present in the intestine of many warm-blooded animals, not just humans but also in other warm-blooded animals of eukaryotes. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A. So here you have the 3D image of an E. coli here. So this is how it looks. Okay, it's a 3D image. They are rod-shaped bacteria which obtains the pink stain from the gram staining process. Next question here. Genophore or bacterial genome or nucleoid is made up of dash. Okay, so anything. What is the bacterial genome or the nucleoid, whatever you call it as, what is it made up of? Okay, we all know when we talk about virus, either it has RNA or either it will have DNA. Okay, but when you talk about a bacteria, it has a single double-stranded DNA. Okay, the bacterial genome or the nucleoid is made up of a singular circular double-stranded DNA without the histone protein, as it is a prokaryotic organism. Since they are prokaryotes, histones are not present. So what are histones? They are special proteins. Right. The genome contains some 100 chemical sites or loci. Each locus contains E. coli, and it contains about how many genes? It contains 4,000 genes. Therefore, the correct answer is option C, single double-stranded circular DNA. Okay. Next question here. Bacteria lack alteration of generation because there is dash. So this question was asked in the year 1992. So they are asking us what is bacteria lac alteration, and that happens from generations. So what is it lacking in? In bacteria, asexual reproduction through, so how does the bacterial reproduction takes place? Is it sexual or asexual? What do you call it as? It is usually a fission process that takes place. Okay, what do you mean by fission? It can be binary fission. Okay, where the mother cell will divide into two halves, and you'll get the mother cell will divide into two halves. One will be the daughter cell and one will remain as such, which will be the mother cell. So here in bacteria, asexual reproduction is through binary fission, and it is the most common method of multiplication which happens in bacteria. Sexual reproduction, which comprises of syngamy and meiosis, is entirely absent. Say, when we talk about sexual reproduction, it's a complex process, and this involves a syngamy and a special cycle, cell cycle, what you call it as meiosis. When it comes to a single cycle production, or it talks about a single cell type to be produced, then the cell cycle is called as mitosis. When we talk about a complex sex cycle or a life cycle or a cell cycle, whatever you can call it as, it involves meiosis, which involves a syngamy. So this process is totally absent in bacteria. Hence, no gamete formation will take place. Since there is no meiosis, there is no gamete formation. In sexually reproducing organisms, alteration of generation will occur. So the correct answer to this question is option A. Neither syngamy nor reduction division take place. So this is a reason why bacteria lack the alteration of generation. Okay. Fine. Next question here. Name the organism which do not derive energy directly or indirectly from the sun. Very easy question for you to answer. Right. Out of the 4 organisms given here, they are asking about the indirect and the indirectly or direct. They don't derive energy at all. So it means that the organism is taking from some other source. The energy, say every organism requires energy. Now when energy is not from the sun, then it should be from an inorganic source, right? It has to be from an inorganic source. So out of the 4 options given here, the correct answer is A, because chemosynthetic bacteria will obtain energy from inorganic source. They do not require sunlight as a source of energy, either directly or indirectly. Somehow they will not need. Okay, the energy for the synthesis of the food is obtained from the oxidation of certain inorganic substances present in the medium. The chemical energy which is obtained from oxidation reaction will be trapped in ATP molecules, and this ATP what you get will be used up for the rest of the process. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A, chemosynthetic bacteria. The rest of the bacteria, even though they are not directly present, they might be indirectly also present. So here the question is direct or indirect. Somehow they will require sun. Even if they are pathogenic bacteria, they are dependent on the host, all that is there, but sometimes they are indirectly also dependent on the sunlight for survival. Hence the correct answer is chemosynthetic, because they are fully their full survival rate is based on the inorganic substances. Okay, next questions. Which belongs to Monera? Again, this is an easy question for you. When we talk about Monera, it comes under the 5 kingdom classification, if you remember. It comes under 5 kingdom classification, and that was given by R.H. Whittaker in the year 1969. Apart from that, what all comes under 5 kingdom is Monera, then you have fungi, Plantae, Animalia, then you'll have even viruses, viroids, all this as a part of the organization or the classification. So Monera is the first kingdom to be classified, and it is exclusively for bacteria. So out of the 4 options given here, which is bacteria? Obviously it is option B, Escherichia. We already saw it is a particular genus called as Escherichia. They are in the form of coliforms. Coliforms means they reside on the intestine of many warm-blooded animals. A very commonly used bacteria for culture and for research purposes is E. coli or Escherichia coli. So therefore the correct answer to this question is option B. Okay, easy question, right? Next question here. Chrysophytes, euglenoids, dinoflagellates and slime molds are included in the kingdom dash. This is also a very easy question for you. As I already said, R.H. Whittaker gave us a 5 kingdom classification where we have different kingdoms like Monera, Protista, then we have Plantae, Animalia, fungi. All these are given their own spaces and they have their own organisms in that classification. Now chrysophytes, euglenoids, dinoflagellates and slime molds, they come under the kingdom of, see, Monera, I said it is bacteria, right? Fungi, it is understood, all the fungi will come under it. Animalia, it is understood, all the animals will come under it, including the mammals. So the leftover is Protista. The correct answer is Protista. Protista includes chrysophytes, euglenoids, dinoflagellates and slime molds. All unicellular eukaryotic organisms which are mentioned in the question are all eukaryotic. But only thing, they are unicellular, they are not multicellular. The correct answer to this question is option B, Protista. So the kingdom Protista I have given to your right side, which shows the image of different forms of Protista. Whatever I have mentioned, chrysophytes, you have euglenoids in it, everything is there, flagellates. Okay, next question here. In which group of organisms the cell wall form 2 thin overlapping shells which fit together? Okay, so you're given 4 options here. Okay, we'll go one option by option. What do you mean by euglenoids? How can you describe it? See, euglenoids are an algae. Okay, euglenoids are algae basically. They are one of the best known groups of flagellates which excavate eukaryotes of phylum Euglenophyta, and their cell structure is typical of that group. They are commonly found in fresh water, especially when it is rich in organic materials with few marine and endosymbiotic membranes. So euglenoids cannot be the answer. Next, moving on to the next option there, we have dinoflagellates. What do you mean by dinoflagellates? Once again, they are algae. The dinoflagellates are protists constituting the phylum Dinoflagella, and usually they are considered to be algae, and they are mostly marine plankton, but they are common in fresh water also. Their populations are distributed depending upon the sea surface temperature and depending on the depth as well as the salinity. So there also you don't have. So there you have anything to talk about overlapping? No. So therefore the correct answer is not dinoflagellates also. What about slime molds? What about slime molds? If you have clearly seen, there is something that you have to note here. Slime means sticky, right? So slime molds is an informal name given to several kinds of unrelated eukaryotic organisms that can live freely as single cells, but they sometimes aggregate together to form a multicellular reproductive structure. Slime molds were formerly classified as fungi but are no longer under the kingdom of fungi because they have similarities with fungi, but there are more dissimilarities when compared to that kingdom. Therefore, slime molds is not the answer. The correct answer is chrysophytes. What do you mean by chrysophytes? Chrysophytes, the other name for chrysophytes is called as golden algae. Okay, it is called as golden algae. It's a golden brown or sometimes golden algae, and they are a large group of algae found mostly in the fresh water. They are commonly used to refer single species, and the scientific name, they belong to the kingdom of Chromista. Apart from that, what you can talk about here is, in this group of organisms, the cell walls form two thin overlapping shells which will fit together. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option D, chrysophytes. So, mostly you will find them in lakes. Okay, they are sometimes referred to as golden algae because they appear gold in color. They are often unicellular and also have a flagellum which allows the mobility or the motility in water. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option D, chrysophytes. So, that overlapping structure will be like soap box, it seems, since they are overlapped. So, you have seen a soap box, right? It will overlap with these two things, open and close method. Therefore, the correct answer is option D. Next question here. In the 5 kingdom classification, Chlamydomonas and Chlorella have been included in dash. Easy question for you to answer. Chlamydomonas and Chlorella are algae, right? They have been included in algae. Algae are chlorophyllous. They are thalloid, avascular plants with no cellular differentiation, and they belong to the thallophytes in the plant kingdom. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B. And algae are mostly or predominantly they are autotrophic, where they don't depend on any other source for their food. Next question here. Which one of the following organism is not an example of eukaryotic cell? Okay, here you have to understand which is prokaryotes. Okay, so we all know bacteria constitutes to prokaryotes, right? So very easy for you to answer. Now, out of the 4 options, which one is a bacteria? Escherichia coli is a bacteria. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. E. coli is a prokaryotic gram-negative bacterium. Hence, the correct answer is option B. Next question here. Single-celled eukaryotes are included in dash. Okay, we just now discussed in the earlier question or in the previous one where we saw about protista. They include diatoms, they include chrysophytes, they include euglenoids, they include dinoflagellates, and we saw one particular thing about them. They are all eukaryotes. Okay, but only thing they are single celled. Okay, and this is one among the 5 kingdom classification which was given by R.H. Whittaker. So the correct answer to this question is protista. Single celled eukaryotes are included in protista. Protista includes all unicellular and colonial eukaryotes except the green and the red algae. So that alone will not come under this. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A, protista. Okay. Next question here. Which one of the following is a slime mold? So just now we discussed what is a slime mold, right? What is it we saw? How can you describe a slime mold? It resembles many features like fungi, but still it is not under the classification or the kingdom fungi. It is an informal name that is given to several kinds of unrelated eukaryotic organisms that live freely in the form of single cells. Sometimes they aggregate to form a large structure. They form a multicellular unit. Sometimes it forms a reproductive structure by aggregating. Okay, so this is all about the slime mold, and this was initially under the fungi, under the kingdom of fungi, but still later on, due to many dissimilarities, it was not able to be placed under it. And you can ask me, is slime molds harm to humans? They are not known to be danger to humans or animals. Chemical treatment is not warranted for this problem. These organisms are very sensitive to the environment. So I will give you an example of slime mold. You have Mycota are examples of slime molds. Apart from that, you have Plasmodia, and then you have Hycerum. So therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A, Physarum. Okay, Physarum polycephalum belongs to the phylum Amoebozoa. And here, if you see, they have given you some more examples of slime molds. See, slime molds, they are single-celled eukaryotes again, but the most important thing is they don't relate in many other classifications. They remain separate because somehow they manage to have some dissimilarities when compared to the other organisms. Though they show predominant similarities with fungi, still they are not placed under fungi due to some dissimilarities also. Therefore, the correct answer is option A. Next question here. The thyroid body of slime mold, Mysomycetes, is known as dash. Very easy question for you to answer. See, the thyroid body of the slime mold is made up of what? Multinucleated cell. Okay, multinucleated cell which lacks septa in between, and hence it is multinucleated single-celled mass, and that is called as Plasmodium. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A, Plasmodium. Okay, fine. Next question here. Oxospores and homocyst are formed respectively by dash. So where do you find this particular structure? So you're given 4 options here, but before that, tell me, what is diatoms? How can you describe diatoms? So diatoms is an algae or a bacteria? It's an algae. Okay, it's an algae. Diatoms are the major group of algae, specifically microalgae found in the oceans, waterways, and many other solids around the rocks and some other habitat also. They sometimes even live in the houses made of glass. They are the only organisms on the planet with cell walls composed of transparent opaline silica. It is made up of opaline silica, a special thing. Here, another thing about this, why is it called a diatom, is the unique feature of diatom anatomy is that they are surrounded by a cell wall made up of hydrated silicon dioxide called as frustil. Similar to plants, diatoms convert light energy to chemical energy by the process of photosynthesis. Although this shared autotrophy they evolved independently in both the lineages. That is why it is called as diatom. So, oxospores and homocysts are formed respectively in several diatoms and sometimes also rarely found in cyanobacteria. The correct answer to this question is option D. Okay. Binary fission in diatoms reduce the size of most daughter cells, which are corrected through the development of the... So who does that? It is oxospores. Okay. In some filamentous cyanobacteria forms, unisexual reproduction occurs by the homocyst. They are identified by the presence of biconcave. It will appear biconcave, it seems, like a disc shape. Okay. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option D. Okay, here they have given you an example of oscillatoria, where you have that biconcave appearance, right? Next question here. In Amoeba and Paramecium, osmoregulation occurs in dash. So what do you mean by osmoregulation now? You have to answer me that first. When we talk about osmosis, what did we saw? Is it the movement of water from higher to lower or lower to higher? The maintenance of the constant osmotic pressure in the fluids of an organism by the control of water and salt. Who takes the control? Water and salt. Okay, in Amoeba and Paramecium, osmoregulation occurs through dash. But before that, what is osmoregulation? It is the maintenance of the constant osmotic pressure in the fluids of an organism by the control of water and salt concentration. Apart from that, when you talk in terms of biology, the process of regulating water potential in order to keep the fluid and the electrolyte balance within an organism or within a cell which is relative to the surrounding. In biology, osmoregulation is important process to keep the water potential at constant. Therefore, this work is carried out in Paramecium and Amoeba with the help of contractile vacuole. This vacuole will help in the water balance. Okay. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option C. Next question here. Which of the following organism possesses characteristics of both a plant and an animal? So you're given here 4 options. Obviously it is not bacteria, mycoplasm. Obviously they are not both, because mycoplasm, they do not possess a cell wall. But here they are asking us both in plant and animal nature in this. Therefore bacteria and mycoplasm will not come under this. The correct answer goes to Euglena. The Euglena is an organism which possesses both the characteristic of a plant and animal, as it has more flagella. See, the flagella makes it an animal-like structure. Okay, and the process or the chlorophyll that is present in it will resemble like a plant. So these two features, since it is present in euglenoid, it has a characteristic of both plant and animal. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B. In nutrition, it is mixotrophic, that is, it comprises of both. Okay. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B, and here to your right side you can see a picture of Euglena where you have flagella, where you have chloroplast. So it resembles both plant and animal. So you can see here chloroplast, flagella, then you have a Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, everything. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option B. So with this we complete the part 4 of biological classification. Hope to meet you in the next part of the same chapter. Thank you for watching my video.